welcome everybody. We're going to start with one, which is my introduction, 1.1 on the meeting agenda. And that's just a big greeting. We got a full agenda. So I'm just greeting everyone, say thank you for coming. And we're going to move along quickly because we do have a full agenda. One thing I will want to say during this particular meeting, it is full. We've got a lot of things to get through. We want to make sure we're fair for time for everybody. So we're going to attempt something this evening, which we haven't done. We always allocate people a certain amount of time. This evening, we're actually going to time you. So the times we gave you, please be considerate of that so we can actually hear from everybody. Okay, moving on. Item 1.2, roll call. Councilmember Jones.
I can see that everybody's here except Nick, so we have a quorum with 15.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yep. Thank you.
Is Jeff here?
Actually, no. Oh,
Did I hear him?
okay, so Jeff and Nick are not here.
Yeah. Jeff may be coming in, and if he does, then we'll just have him in the waiting room and passing the media. We'll add him on later.
Okay, all right, so I have 14 as of right now.
Okay, so passing the media, if you hear Jeff Simmons or Nick Santangelo come into the room, please go ahead and hold them in the waiting room and then let them in. Okay, moving on. Item 1.3, approval of the September the 15th meeting agenda. Councilmember Sutherland.
Okay, the executive committee met on September the 8th and approved the agenda. There is one very short item that's will be added as number 3.5. And she promised it was going to be short, right, Karen? A quick map your neighborhood report. As long as Karen Gibson is here for something else, she's going to give a very quick report as number 3.5. Are there any other corrections or additions that need to be made?
Just warning everybody, if you did have a census tract report, now's the time to request it, not at the end of the meeting. So if you don't, you should have already sent it into the executive committee, but I understand sometimes things are last minute information. So now would be the time to add it. Otherwise, we're moving forward. Thank you.
So in that case, I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Do we have a second?
Motion. I second the motion.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? So moved, unanimous. Okay, moving on to officers' report. Item 2.1, the chair's report. I just got a couple of things I want to say. Obviously, everyone's focus right now is on the fires. And different people mentioned about bringing updates and talking about it during the meeting, but I'm going to leave that completely to LA County Fire. Maria Graykin is here and going to be doing a report this evening, so she would be the best person to talk about any of that. The next thing I want to comment is as a council announcement, we did agree as a town council, and we did inform them of it, that we are supporting the library's Measure Z in the up and coming elections. So that's an exciting movement for funding to keep our library. Item number 2 I'd like to bring up is that the executive committee has appointed the continued position of Diane Markison on the independent Owen Brown committee. And then third, I just want to mention briefly too, over the last several meetings, we've also been getting several emails and concerns and requests for the town council to look into the issue of gas leaf blowers. The county did answer a question last month on that, but I wanted to give you just an update on what we're looking at as a council. We have talked about it a little bit. Both the council and executive committees also discussed this and had conversations with county. And I think we agree that we need to address the issue, for our bylaws do require that we convey the needs and wishes of our residents to the county. But the current COVID-19 restrictions do not really allow us to canvass or hold a large meeting. So the executive committee has determined that we will do a form of what we do in other situations when we are asking for something, for example, on a CUP. We hold meetings, get community input, and send this input with or without a recommendation to the county. While details are not finalized yet, we are proposing the following. We will schedule a presentation at an up-and-coming ATC meeting, possibly in October. If there is an organized group against the ban as well, they will also be included. Public comments will be accepted at any meeting as well as during the month and at the end of possibly 2 or 3 months. Unpredictable right now with the VIAs and the elections coming up. All comments will be organized and results analyzed and sent down to the supervisor. So that's the next steps, and the details are yet to be finalized. So just so you got a heads up of where we're going forward. All right, moving on. Item next, the Vice Chair's report. Item 2.2, Councilmember Sutherland.
I can be really, really quick because I don't have anything at all. We normally, we do have general public comment that is scheduled at the end of the meeting that needs to be sent to me ahead of time, but I have not received anything, so we will have no general public comment.
Okay.
That's the end of my report.
Okay, moving on. Item 2.3, Recording Secretary, Councilmember Jones.
Good
Approval of the August 18th minutes.
Good evening again. The minutes were emailed to each council member for review. I did receive corrections to the minutes. I've incorporated the corrections into the minutes. I move that the minutes of August 18, 2020 on the website.
Did she get a second?
You need
Do we
a
have a second?
second.
Did she freeze?
I second. I think she froze.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, Councilmember Knapp, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? So moved. Oh, one abstention. Councilmember Cheetah? One abstention. Okay. Moving on. Item 2.4, Treasurer Report. Councilmember Lee.
Hello, our ending balance is very good. It is $2,108.21. And I believe we will have some expenses this month for the election, but I think we'll be talking about that later. But at this point, we're looking good.
Excellent. Okay. Moving on. Item 2.5, Corresponding Secretary, Councilmember Wong.
Thank you very much. So I just want to give everybody an update on the website. So obviously we're going to be talking about the fire. I do have a page, altadena.towncouncil.org/Bobcat. And I've been doing my very best to update all the information via the different channels. Also, you guys could also check, there's different social media channels out there as well, but I am compiling as much information as I get every day. Again, it's important to sign up for alerts, but I've got the link for Nixle, Pulse Point, Ready LA County, that also has the evacuation mapping on it right now. And obviously InstaWeb, we'll talk about all that, but everything we talk about today will be added. I'm also posting the town hall feed. The notes are on here from yesterday. Lots of good information. So again, that's altadena.towncouncil.org/Bobcats. And also we will be building our 2020 Altadena election page. I have a tab there under the website. Lovely Veronica Jones, council member, is the election chair. We'll be building the dates up and talk about that. And then I know Parks and Recreation, Sam is likely on the agenda, and he's got some great upcoming virtual workshops, fall workshops that I will also have posted up here. And then anything you guys want to post, just a reminder to send to me. Thank you very much. That concludes my report.
And that to send would be to Dorothy.Wong at
Yes,
AltadenaTown
thank you.
Council.
Thank you.
Excellent. Moving on. We're going to move on to public safety reports. I see 3.1. I do see Officer Cooper in the room for the Highway Patrol. Good evening, Officer Cooper.
Good evening. You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm just making sure my mic's working. So for the month of August, we had 15 total traffic collisions in Altadena. Of those, we had 9 that were property damage only. We had 3 that had some form of injury. We had 3 hit and runs. We had 0 DUIs and 0 fatalities. So all in all, the crashes are down a little bit because typically we usually run in the between the 20s and the 30s. So to have 15, that's on the lower side. Other thing I wanted to bring up was obviously with the fires going on, the air quality is bad and a lot of other issues, but Angeles Crest Highway is closed at Upper Big T. So the gate is closed at that, and we've actually had a unit that's posted there 24/7 that's up at that gate. So if you're headed up that way, the traffic is closed at Upper Big T. Other thing I wanted to bring up, I've got the radar trailer. I don't know if anybody saw it, but the radar trailer was placed on Lincoln Avenue, north of Mount Curve, monitoring that downhill traffic down there on Lincoln. I have been informed, though, that one of the digital readings on it's not working properly. So I'm going to try and get over there tomorrow and get that fixed so we can get that back operational over there. Traffic in general, I'm sure everyone's noticed, just on the freeway and on the city streets is picking up. I think people with traffic being light for so long have kind of gotten used to driving a bit faster, and we're out there doing a lot of enforcement on that. But I just ask that everybody, slows down and tries to be safe so that we can keep these collision statistics low as the traffic picks back up. And other than that, I don't have anything else unless you have something for me.
Do we have any questions from the council? All right. Thank you very much, Officer Cooper. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was good to see everyone.
And thank you for the update. Okay, I'm moving on to item 3.2 for the Altoona Sheriff Station with Captain Jacobs.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks for again hosting this on Zoom. I'll be short and sweet like I am. You guys are supposed to laugh at that, but Part 1 crime is down 28% in Altadena. I mentioned the homicide early in August, and we do have 2 people in custody. I can't remember if I mentioned that last time. We have the actual person that stabbed the individual that passed away, and their driver, female driver. We're still looking for 2 more suspects, but we have them identified. So that's looking like we're going to close that up pretty soon. We did have an aggravated assault, a gunshot victim. And this was at the Johnny Drawn liquor store. Deputies arrived on a shots fired call to find a vehicle running. The door opened. There was a little bit of blood in the car and no one to be found. Only to find out the Pasadena PD had conducted a traffic stop of the individual that was shot on their way to the hospital. So it's a gang-related shooting. Our OSS units are handling the case, and it's an ongoing, more than likely, the blood gangs against the Latin gangs. So that's that one thing. Like I said, I'll keep it short because I know we want to get into some of the fire-related issues and things that we're doing to keep our beautiful town safe. Update on catalytic converters. We didn't get hit as hard this month as we did last month, but we are looking collectively in East Patrol Division, which is the 6 stations here in the San Gabriel Valley, to come up with some sort of task force and rhyme and reason to what's happening. There's got to be a bigger fish that's out there gathering all these catalytic converters to cash them in for something, and we believe it's probably out of the country. But nonetheless, we're going to get to the bottom of it with all of our resources. And one last thing to add up, the fire that happened at the barbershop there on Glenrose and Altadena Drive, that they're still waiting for the DNA to come back or the labs to come back to figure out exactly what the cause of the fire was. They do not believe it was arson at this moment. That's due to video footage. That's due to some of the things that our arson investigators found at the scene. So it is looking like a unintentional fire that just was sparked by something that went bad inside the barbershop there. So nonetheless, it's unfortunate that building was a total loss. I did put together quickly some evacuation routes to consider. We'll go into the fires now. Looking at the far west, we're looking at the Meadows and Lavinia. I'd like to really get together as a group and put together just a standard evacuation route map, if you will, that can be used for any emergencies. That's going to be a lot of individuals involved in that. But briefly, I would say if we were to evacuate anytime soon, that the Meadows would exit on Canyon Crest Route. I'm sorry, Canyon Crest Road, southbound to Lincoln, and then southbound to the 210 freeway. Lavinia would take Lincoln straight southbound to the 210 freeway. And then looking over at our far east end, Kinaloa Mesa, Eaton Canyon, Pasadena Glen, that would be a more direct route of a southbound New York to Sierra Madre Villa, and then to the 210 freeway. Some of the things to consider, I do want to thank Deb and John for pushing out a lot of information from the CERT. I know she's going to give a briefing after fire goes, but very instrumental in just being prepared. I can't stress that enough. And one of the things that I always remember is the 6 Ps. And that is when you're preparing, that is important papers, your prescriptions, your personal computers, any external hard drives, anything that might hold your family pictures or important information, your people and pets, of course, any tangible pictures that you cannot replace, and plastic, which would be debit, debt, and of course cash is important. So that's just briefly things that should be prepared, ready to go. If they're not in your car, they should be right at the door. Any kind of crates or anything like that you can put a small pet into that you're planning on to, you should be ready, door open, grab the cat, grab the dog, and go. But at this moment, I mean, I'm sure fire is going to give a detailed report. There is no evacuations being ordered. There's no warnings at this point. It really isn't in the Altadena area as we speak. So we are holding our breath, and the firefighters are doing an amazing job. So I'll end with that. If anyone has any questions for me, I'm sure there'll be more questions after fire gives their report, but I'm open to questions.
Councilmember Knapp.
Good evening. I just wanted to express my condolences on behalf of the constituents of my census tract and all of Altadena with regard to the ambush shooting. Would you be able to give even the briefest update on the condition of the deputies?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much. I've got a lot of people reaching out to me, even from out of state, friends of mine. It's just a terrible time right now. And those 2 deputies are really my heroes. The way that they acted, the way that they trained, they're really, really new deputies. They got about 14 months on the job. The female trained in San Dimas and the male trained in Temple. So they did train in East Patrol Division. And the way they reacted after the shooting was exactly how we would train. So they're both still in the hospital. The female deputy did actually take a round to the jaw. Her jaw is wired shut right now. She's already done a selfie with the little straw coming out of her mouth saying, I'll be at your party next time looking like this. So their spirits are very high. We kind of have that homicide sense of humor as cops. We gotta laugh about it, or we'll cry about it. But the male's doing well too. They both had a couple surgeries. They'll need more surgeries. But we're pulling for them, and I know you guys are too. So I really appreciate that. And the sheriff's very happy with the overall response of our department and of the community all around. So they're doing well. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the update to Captain Jacobs. And is there any other more questions from the council? Councilmember Wong.
Hi, yes. Again, thank you, Captain, for all the great work that the sheriffs do for all of us. And when I was going through our public information, you know, the Altadena Sheriffs are definitely one of the key core, you're even more than an organization, right? But definitely the heart of our community in a big way. And so the Facebook page, for example, Altadena Sheriff Station, hasn't, I think, had the capacity to really provide any information. Maybe it's just that we're getting it from the from County Fire, which is also doing a great job. But yeah, how can we get that? I think we might have lost a position. That was sort of our public information person, Officer Liberta. But can you give us an update on communications locally?
Absolutely, and I'll take full responsibility for the social media lag. We did lose 3 crucial positions, as you're all aware of: our community relations, our search and rescue coordinator, and also our school resource officer. I think at this point, the 2 most important spots, because school's not in session, would be that school resource officer, or I'm sorry, the search and rescue and relations are they're just hugely important right now. All of the social media and monitoring of any kind of Instagram, Nixle, Facebook, we're all monitored by our community relations folks and search and rescue. So we are feeling the void of those unfunded positions that are now back working patrol. But I'm not going to use it as an excuse. I'm trying to get people trained. It's a password thing. I can't share passwords. We can't share passwords. The previous deputy that handled this resigned, and with him resigned passwords. So there is a training schedule for the end of this month on the 30th for 3 of my 2 detectives and 2 sergeants are actually going to go to that training and become our PIOs for better coverage of information to the community. At this point, Deputy Liberta is going to come back from patrol and work the fire and really focus on making sure we reach out to get some virtual neighborhood watch meetings organized. Map Your Neighborhood is going to be, we need to get them more involved. I will be joining in on virtual town halls and things like that. So you'll see a real more robust meetings, of course, virtually in the very near future, and more pushes on social media. So I do apologize for that, but we're trying to work things out on our end.
Okay, Councilmember Markuson, you had a question?
Well, I just wanted to say that I do think, and thanks, Captain, for getting on that and everything. There's a lot going on in the world today. But I do sort of want to, I would just like to recommend that everybody go to LA County Fire and National Forest Service to get updates from the actual fire. I think, Dorothy, you mentioned, you know, for the fire itself, I think we all ought to be going the same place, which is fire, you know, LA County Fire. So it will certainly help to start making plans, Jory, and when you get somebody new in there, that'd be great. But just from a fire perspective, I think everybody should just be going the same place. I don't think you should feel like you have to update the fire stuff, I guess is what I'm saying.
Any more questions from the council? Okay. Is that Councilmember Wong holding your hand up?
Yeah, just quickly. I mean, I don't want that to be misconstrued either. At the end of the day, you know, where we live, work, and play in Altadena, the sheriffs are with us. And so I feel like, you know, it's definitely an opportunity with however the budgets are working to also really support the Altadena sheriffs, perhaps at the county level. So maybe we can have that conversation later as a council. Also, as it relates to, you know, moving people around and adjusting, because at the end of the day, County Fire is looking at us, and we're going to have some great, you information that way. But the sheriffs have always been such an amazing key search and rescue. So I'm just putting that out there, that I don't know if it's all on the sheriffs and if there can be some ask of the county to help support that. That's all.
Okay, any more questions from the council? Okay, moving on. We're gonna move on now to item. Thank you very much, by the way, Captain Jacobs. Really appreciate you showing up and giving
My
us
pleasure.
updates. And you're always welcome
course.
in our town council meetings. Thank you. Okay, moving on.
Thank you.
To item 3.3 with the LA County Fire with Maria Graykin. And before she comes on, I just want to make one quick statement. Maria did reach out to me at the end of last week and asked for support from the council. And I want to give a huge big thank you to the council members who volunteered time and went to the National Forest Fire Call Center and volunteered time from the council with the knowledge of Altadena. So we were able to answer a lot of calls and support the fire in that, and it happened over a course of 2 days until the numbers, of course, came down and the call center was able to handle it. So huge, big thank you to the town council and great job, everybody. Okay, so moving on.
Billy?
Yeah.
Can I just add, as somebody that was there, and Nick and I had this conversation, that if anybody ever has the opportunity and the need, or we're requested to, provide assistance to go to the call center to do some help on the phones, it was way more interesting than I realized it was going to be. Besides the nice people that we met that were also there, we both felt that we walked away with a lot more information than we realized we were going to get. So it was interesting, and take the opportunity if you're able to get it.
Yeah, if it comes again, their support and thank you. And I will add to what Councilmember Sutherland says is that I also went and I was also received a lot of calls, and it is a wonderful feeling when you're talking to people who just need someone to talk to sometimes because they're anxious or stressed or they're in a stressful situation. There's nothing that feels better that you're actually the person that they're able to reach when they kind of have nobody else to talk to. So again, I recommend doing it if it arises again. But in the meantime, thank you very much. I'm going to pass you on to Maria Graykin.
Good evening. I also would like to thank all of the council members who were able to fit that last minute request into their schedules and help us out at the call center. It really was a big help. So thank you for that. I emailed you all the fire reports for both July and August. As you know, I was not able to attend last month's meeting because I was on the lake fire. But I'm just going to review the August meeting, since that's what we're talking about now. And then I also wanted you to know that Assistant Fire Chief Mackey has also joined this Zoom meeting. So once I'm done with the report, I'm going to turn it over to him, and he will be able to update and answer more questions about the Bobcat fire in particular. So for August, there were a total of 310 responses. 9 of those were for fires. We had 257 medical calls, and 179 of those patients were transported. Of the fires, the most significant one for the month was, again, the barber shop that Captain Jacobs did already talk about. So I don't need to go back into that one. We also, because we did turn it over to the sheriffs for investigation. So I'm glad she was able to update that. We had a structure fire on Catherine that was electrical in nature in the wall space in the kitchen that caused $30,000 worth of damage. And then we had a structure fire on the 28th of August on Midwick Avenue, which Edison was on scene for that one. It looked like it may have been a power surge from one of their lines over the house. and it caught some of the roof tiles on fire. There was no extension into the attic of the home, so that was good. And they kept the damage of that down to $2,000. There were quite a number of instances of wires down or power lines down during the month of August. That's not entirely surprising. And then we had 8 traffic collisions. That is it for the statistics part of it. If there's any questions on that part, otherwise I will turn it over to Chief Mackey.
Okay, Chief Mackey, you're on mute currently.
Unmuted now. So thank you, Council. Thanks for having me. So I'll be able to answer any questions that any of the council members have for the Bobcat. So currently, my report here is currently it's over 41,000 acres. It burned about close to 3,000 acres last night. So once again, this fire is in a pretty rugged, pretty steep and rugged terrain area. It's in the forest and it's continually burning towards the north and northwest. So I know we're Altadena is still under a warning. And as the captain mentioned, I'd make sure you have your, in the event that there's any type of change in the fire behavior and it starts coming towards Altadena, just to make sure you have your ready, set, go pamphlets together and you have a plan and you prepare to evacuate when those orders are given. And the captain and I have been communicating with as far as evacuation. So I don't have, I've gone through a lot of evacuations in the northern part of my district. I don't foresee any problems with Altadena being evacuated in a effective manner. So any questions for me?
Okay, I know one question that everyone's going to be asking, and then I'll open it to the floor is, what's the, I know we get live updates, but how secure is Mount Wilson right now being a communication, not just the observatory, but the communication center for this area of Los Angeles? And are we threatened for communications right now?
I think a lot of areas are threatened for communications. At about 4 o'clock, I did drive up the area and I could still see a lot of smoke, a lot of fire activity below Mount Wilson. So I haven't gotten an update yet because I've been on, this is a second meeting tonight, but I will get an update and get it to Maria and make sure she gets it to the council. But that is, we did have quite a few resources up there at Mount Wilson ready to protect the towers there.
And that's communication, but what about power as well? Are any of the power lines in jeopardy within the fire range?
Yeah, power lines are also a threat. So I can't speak to the power lines because a lot of those power lines run through the brush. So on the top of the ridges. So if the aircraft had a successful day, then hopefully those power lines threat will be reduced.
Okay. Any questions from the council? Councilmember Sutherland?
It's not a question, but it is a comment. This fire update that comes to us every morning is really, really helpful. I mean, it's very plain and simple. And a lot of times what people really need just is kind of knowing what's going on. They don't need tons of details, but it's very easy to understand with this. So I think it's helpful at calming certain of the residents.
Is that from NC Web or which update is that?
No,
from?
that's the one that I'm emailing to them every day.
Okay, perfect. Right. Okay, yeah, those updates. We're pretty accurate on those, and we do those for all the incidents that we have in Division 3. Actually, the whole fire department, everybody gets those when they have a major brush fire in their district.
Okay, any more questions?
I've got one, Billy.
Okay, Councilmember Wilkins.
I'm reading that the fire may not be contained until the end of October. October, of course, is Santa Ana season for us. So it seems like there could be a combination of this fire still happening in the Santa Ana. And I know that's a forecast that's pretty far out, but do you see the fire being past us heading west by then? Or it's just such a long time from now, right? In the Santa Ana, so the fire is going to be burning that long.
It is a long ways from now, but if the fire continues to burn in the direction that it is with the way the topography set and it's burning down the drainages, it's going to continue to burn west. So it'll be burning away from Altadena. We're just hopefully that there's no Santa Ana winds and pushing it back to the south, but we will be prepared for that.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Becerra.
Yeah, I'm kind of just curious because I'm under, correct me if I'm wrong, the Angeles National Forest is managed by it's federally managed. So I'm just kind of curious to know what kind of resources are coming in from the federal side and if any from the state, because from the updates, it appears that this has all been LA County managed. So I'm kind of curious, what kind of resources are coming in from, federal and state.
Well, it's not totally LA County managed. We're assisting. Keep in mind that this fire originated in the Angeles National Forest, so they're the incident commanders, and we do have a Type 1 incident management team managing it, and the resources that are available from the other incidents are coming to help. But once again, it's still burning in an area where there's in the area that it's burning currently, there are no homes that are at a threat, immediate threat. So that is one major concern. It's a good thing that we have right now, but resources are coming to assist from other parts of the forest.
Okay, Councilmember Wong.
Let's see. So I just wanted to follow up. There's been a different communication chain as it relates to, again, the crossing the lines on Cheney Trail. So Cheney Trail, we have the gate, and then the gate is closed right now. So I have two questions. So this is one. There's been a lot of concern about a sinkhole on the Forest Service side, just past the White Gate where the Lincoln Avenue water tower is. And the Forest Service can't get to it for a couple of months. So I guess at that point, does the county, when all of this is going on, if something happens and the fire crosses Mount Wilson and makes its way over to our community, towards the Cheney Trail area, coming down the power lines there, and then the Mount Low Road goes up, maybe I'm just sharing an assessment that there's been concern that the fire trucks won't be able to actually get up past, or any vehicles, large work vehicles, get past the sinkhole. So I don't know if you're aware of that sinkhole at all. The Forest Service engineering. Yeah.
I am aware of the sinkhole. We do have trucks that can get by there. It may not be our very large trucks, but we do have patrols that can drive around that, based on the pictures that I've seen. So our battalion chief is aware of that. And once again, if anything comes this way, we have a pretty significant aerial support that's going to be coming with LA County Fire. So, and those aircraft aren't on the Bobcat because, once again, it's in the forest. But we have quite a few copters, and the super scoopers are here now also to assist with stopping any fire that starts to threaten the county.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question, in the Meadows area is Canyon Crest.
Correct.
So we have those sort of mixed property lines where brush clearance is an issue a lot of times because it's either Pasadena's land, private land, and so forth. And so there's a lot of concern there that the evacuation route out of the Meadows, if a fire starts, in the Millard Canyon, for example. So I don't know if you can speak to that. And the other question, a lot of residents were concerned that because there's not any real lighting up in the Meadows, there's not a lot of street lights, that the fire hydrants that are there don't have the blue reflectors that can help you guys. And so I sent an email to Public Works to see if they could help with that, but I don't know how important the reflectors are to you guys.
the reflectors are good. They help assist with locating hydrants for some of the resources that are coming out of the district. So those do help. But we do have on our computers, on our fire engines, anytime there's a fire response, the hydrants are actually populated on the map. So they do know where the hydrants are on the map. In regards to that Millard Canyon, yeah, we did look at another road that kind of went down towards JPL, but talking with the forest, and I agree that that's not a safe exit route to exit the meadow. So once again, as the captain stated, Canyon Crest is your best exit out of the meadows.
Yeah, and people were just concerned about the brush, overgrown brush right at the hairpin turn. So, you know, ultimately it's like sort of a labyrinth of whose responsibility it is to do the brush clearance. I would call it downstream of the canyon at the hairpin.
So I know where you're talking, and I'm pretty familiar with that area. I'll discuss that with the local station and see whose area of responsibility that is. And if it's with ANF, or we can assist somehow with Public Works, I'm pretty sure that's not ANF, but we can work with the property owner to perhaps get some whatever clearance is needed on that canyon, that hairpin turn on Canyon Crest. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now on my map. So.
Yeah, but thank you for that. I know, like, sometimes I've had to call the city of Pasadena to help out, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that was the last question, correct? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. McKay, Chief. I really appreciate you coming this evening and talking and taking our questions and answering as well.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate it. You're welcome anytime to any of our meetings. So thank you so much for giving us your time.
Appreciate it. And remember that I'm an Altadenian also, so I live here. So
okay. Okay. That's good. Thank you, Chief. Okay, moving on to item 3.4 with CERT with Deb Habisat.
Hi. What a crazy time. I think we can all agree. Thank you, Chief Mackey. That was really useful, and Maria and Jacob, so really appreciate that. Okay, so it's kind of a preparedness report quickie that I have. So it's kind of CERT plus everything else. Billy, just to tell you, I had Erica Fausta call me just as the meeting was started, and she's going to email with her information in case you have to contact Red Cross and Territory 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then we have a blood drive coming, which is October 7th. We have another one, Red Cross blood drive, at the Senior Center, again, between 10 and 4. The last one was so successful that they've asked us to have another one. So if you can put that in your calendars, it's not till October 7th, but since I had the opportunity, I wanted to mention it. And I've also been asked to speak at PUSD PTA meeting on September 28th. But I think I'm just going to tell Chief Mackey that he has to speak there. I'm kidding. Rather than my take any responsibility. Okay. Then our Altadena Sheriff Station CERT team's been having meetings the day of every month via Zoom since the Altadena Community Center was closed for COVID-19 at the end of February. We've started to team up with CERT teams in Crescenta Valley, Sheriff Station, Sierra Madre CERT, the local Red Cross volunteers, and all our Map Your Neighborhood committee. Our relationships have really paid off this past week as we exchanged pertinent information via phone calls, emails, and social media posts regarding the status of the Bobcat fire. Where we discussed FEMA CERT training manual. In February and March, we worked on preparedness regarding COVID-19 pandemics and the history of international pandemics and epidemics. In May, we talked about the pandemic again, fire season and the hardening of homes and earthquake retrofit. In July, we talked about the pandemic. again, people's experience with COVID-19, and we have a new CERT chapter about pandemics. We didn't have a meeting in August. We took the month off, but articles to CERT members about wildfire. And just this past week, we talked about hazmat, the Beirut explosion. We actually have an expert on our CERT team from the railroads, Dave Buccolo, and he knew, as did my husband, whose father did the Texas City explosion all those years ago. We're talking 40, 50 years ago. So between the two of them, right away, within 2 hours, we knew what had happened, that they'd had the ammonia nitrate and unfortunately had also put water on it. Anyway, then heat stroke and the current evacuation warning that had been put out to Altadena. We've provided future information. We've provided information about FEMA trainings and have hooked up with other CERT groups for refresher training. And Altadena residents continue to contact us to become members of the CERT group. So any questions or anything?
Any questions from the council?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Deb. I really appreciate you coming this evening and give us an update. One thing I just want to quickly ask, you mentioned the Red Cross. Now, they did announce that a Red Cross Emergency Center has been set up at Santa Anita in Arcadia. So I'm assuming that in case of emergencies from any residents in Altadena, that's one of the places they could head for emergency center for Red Cross. Am I correct?
That's correct at this moment. It still will be correct because it's such a gigantic place. And all in the Pasadena Glen, as I've been communicating with them quite often this last few days, they've moved all their big animals already to Santa Anita. So that was a big relief for them since they have such a narrow pathway of escape. However, we don't know, like any other disaster, what other shelters will be open if needed and if closer by. I know we have some contracted shelters in Altadena and also northern Pasadena. So I know that the Red Cross is prepared for opening more shelters if needed.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And as information comes up on that, or should things change, let's just make sure we get that information to Councilmember Wong so it can also go up on our website so our local community can find it. Hopefully, if the need arises, but hopefully it won't be. Okay, thank you very much. And moving on to Karen Gibson, 3.5 for Map Your Neighborhood. You're on mute, Karen.
Thanks for squeezing me in. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to report that our coordinator, Ann Nolan, held a Map Your Neighborhood training in the Meadows. That's come up quite a few times so far this evening. 75 people participated on Zoom in the Map Your Neighborhood meeting. Wow. So it was really great. Deb and John were very helpful there. Jane Sabo is the coordinator who's really got the network activated to get materials out. So anybody could be Jane Sabo. Anybody could be like her and get this thing going in their area. They have Jay Lopez up there, who's a retired LA County Assistant Fire Chief. And so between the 30-minute presentation and the hour of questions, it sounds like it was really a terrific meeting. And I bet Deb would be shaking her head yes. And also, just to let you know, Anne reached out to all the meeting hosts that we've had so far to try to get them to contact all their neighbors. And I think it's led to a terrific sharing of information in Altadena as a result. If you're interested in Map Your Neighborhood, just email us at MYN for Map Your Neighborhood, RSVP, the number 2 at gmail.com.
Thank you. Any questions for Karen? Okay, thank you. We'll be hearing from you again shortly, Karen. Moving on, under special presentations, item 4.1 from Collaborate Pasadena. I'm going to pass this over to Councilmember Sanika And then just be aware that there is a 10-minute limit on our presentation. So
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Collaborate Pasadena, in partnership with Day One, the City of Pasadena Public Health Department, College Access Plan, the Children's Museum, and the City of Sierra Madre have joined forces to bring free COVID testing to the communities of Altadena, Pasadena, and Sierra Madre. And spearheading this partnership is Mary Donnelly Crocker. Mary is the Executive Director of Young and Healthy, a nationally recognized program that conducts low-income uninsured, that connects low-income uninsured children with volunteer doctors who will provide them care at no cost. She's been a local leader in the implementation of the Affordable Care Act, helping our community partners enroll over 15,000 people into the health insurance. Recently, Young and Healthy has taken a leadership role in bringing trauma-informed care to the greater community. And Young and Healthy has received numerous awards and recognitions, both nationally and locally. And Mary is a member of the Collaborate Pasadena. And without further ado, I just want to introduce Mary Donnelly Crocker. Is Mary here?
I am here.
Okay.
Hi, Mary.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to talk a little bit about this. I too am an Altadena girl.
Mary, I don't mean to stop you here, but I just want a quick question for you. Do you have any material to share or screen sharing that's required?
Nope.
Thank you.
It's just going to be me. So Gloria knows a little bit more about this because she too is on Collaborate Pasadena with me. We have had an opportunity sort of dropped in our lap, which is really wonderful, to try and bring COVID testing to this community. We are partnering with others to bring this, and it is working with the same organization that is doing the testing at Dodger Stadium. So for any of you who've been down to Dodger Stadium, you'll see that is a massive undertaking. Ours won't be that big. It's going to be a much smaller kind of thing. Actually, next week I'm scheduled to go see a smaller operation in LA that's more manageable. It's probably be more like the one we could do here. Amazingly, we actually have most of the money that we need to do this. It cost $34,000 to bring this clinic to Pasadena and Altadena area. And one of the people from the Children's Museum has actually raised most of the money. So at least to bring the clinic here. That $34,000 will bring a mobile unit to the community, and they could do up to 100,000 tests in a month. We think that that's probably a leap. I think it'll start off much slower than that, but then it could build. If there's enough interest in this, we will try and raise more money to keep it here longer. One of the things that we now know about COVID testing, now that it's much more available and you get very quick responses to it now, is that if we test more often, we're going to get better data for the community. We are really concerned about the communities that are underserved. So we really are looking at Northwest Pasadena, West Altadena, places that typically often don't have access to kind of the kinds of healthcare resources that other people do. So although we wouldn't limit it, no, we would never say no to anybody, we would certainly do our marketing and stuff to those communities. At the moment, we are scouting locations. I'm looking for places that could handle a mobile van and traffic coming in and out, sort of all day long. So we are looking at lots of different places, and I am wide open to suggestions on other places that we might be able to do this. We are working hard. As you can imagine, there are millions of hoops to jump through to get this to come to Pasadena and Altadena. But we will be working both with the Public Health Department. Part of the plan is not just to do the testing, but then to really follow up with people in need. So that if they, any positive test is going to get referred to public health. That's what's going to happen. But we will then, public health will be asking for permission to refer those families back to Young and Healthy. and we could see if there's other things a family needs. Do they need food? Do they need other kinds of things that we can provide them with? Right now, Young and Healthy has been doing a huge drive for cleaning products, even personal and home, like, bleach and laundry soap and shampoo. We've been doing a big drive to collect all that stuff because we're discovering families in our community, whether they're positive for COVID or not, because of this pandemic and the economic sequela that's happening, can't afford to buy those kinds of things. So even before we do this testing, if any of you know families who are in that position, they can definitely call Young and Healthy, and we will give them the stuff they need. We have boxes of it, and we will give it to them. We will really be working to follow up any of the families that need any additional help so that they don't feel like they're alone in this, and working with public health to help them with all of that. What we're really looking for tonight is a nod from the town council that you think this is a good idea, that we bring COVID testing to our community. Right now, we do have enough money to get started, but we anticipate we're going to have to raise more money. And when that happens, of course, it doesn't hurt to have the support of the communities that we're serving. So we would love it if the town council would support this effort for us to bring this to our community. And we are open. I'm open for questions and comments, ideas, any of those things. It is moving fast. We are hoping to bring this middle of October. So it's around the corner.
Okay, questions from the council? I see Councilmember Jones.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, and we went to the county back in March and asked for this. They have a huge parking lot that you can drive in and drive out.
The one on Lincoln?
Yes, and they're very interested in helping the community.
Oh, cool. Great.
COVID, and the county said that they did it in a certain order, and if they needed them, they would call them. But
Okay.
I have the number. I have the person called me less than 2 weeks ago and asked.
Oh, I would love to talk to that person.
Yeah, they have a really nice setup.
Yeah, I could picture it. It is a pretty big parking lot. That is pretty big. That's exactly the kind of area we want to be in.
Right,
Can I give you my phone number? Or maybe I should put it in the chat room. Should I do that?
Yeah, do that. I'll get it out of the chat.
So
But
you
they have a
can
large gym.
email-
And
Okay, that would be great. We are definitely looking. We're looking at grocery stores. We're looking at churches. We're looking at public places, private places. The less hoops we have to jump through, the better, right?
I also spoke with Nikki at the library, Bob Lucas Library. And one of the things about Bob Lucas Library, it's like an in and out. And we had talked about having this mobile as opposed to walk in and out. So we were looking at, I was envisioning, going in through the library. I spoke with Nikki about it. She just wanted to know what the logistics were, but go in on Lincoln and out on Ventura. And you don't have any traffic jam ups because you have a light right there that they have to go across in order to get to the church. I also went and took a look at Loma Alta Park because they also have an in and out.
I'm sorry,
So any of the three, Loma Alta Park also has a good parking lot where they can just go in and out. If we're talking about drive-through, and I personally would agree with a drive-through as opposed to a walk-through because I think that you can get more seniors involved in a drive-through than a walk-through. Most seniors do not want to be in a line waiting 15, 20 minutes, to do something. So I was looking at that in terms of driving as opposed.
I'm pretty sure it would be a combination. Most of it would be drive-through, and then there'd probably be some capability for people who don't drive. But I agree.
Right. I think at the museum, if you go on the website, they are saying walk up. If you go on the Children's Museum website, they're saying walk up, walk in and out. First,
we'll know a little bit more next week.
Okay.
Yeah, we will know a little bit more next week when we go visit one of the smaller venues. So we'll know a little bit more. Looks like Dr. Sandra has a question.
I would also like to add Metropolitan Baptist Church. They've been trying to do this, so I would like to add them to the list in Altadena, Metropolitan Baptist Church in Altadena.
What? Tell me where that one is again. Where is
right
that
there.
one?
It's on Fair Oaks above Woodbury. It's the big church across.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And they have floor
2283
parking.
North Fair Oaks.
Okay, I'll look at that one too. That's great.
Appreciate it.
Yep. I mean, we're really open to looking at everything.
And we also talked about grocery outlet, the
I
parking
talked
lot
to-
at grocery outlet.
I talked to them today. I talked to Grocery Outlet today.
So it looks like we have.
That's also got a great
We have a
parking
lot
lot.
of spaces.
Yeah, we have a lot of places. Good.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions from the council? I just want to mention, Mary, that you were saying you hope you get the support from the council. In this particular case, I just want to make sure everyone's aware that, the council support Collaborate Pasadena, and Collaborate Pasadena's representative for the town council is glorious Councilmember Sneaker. And so anything that comes through Collaborate Pasadena and come through Councilmember Sneaker as our representative on the committee, we are here to help and support because
Great.
that's already part of our committee.
That's great. We really appreciate it. That's wonderful. I think there's a lot of families that could use this. It may even help with the reopening of schools if we could show that there's, if we could show the positivity rate. This could help us with a lot of things, not just getting the sick people taken care of, but also showing, how well our community is doing or not doing.
Excellent. Thank you.
We
And I
really
know,
appreciate it.
I just wanted to say there is a website
Go ahead.
you can go to. There's a website that you can go to. Can you give them the website address if you want to make a donation?
Sure. I'm doing it right now. Yeah, we'd always take money. Are you kidding me? There we go. Yes, and Victoria said about the grocery outlet, it does. That is actually, it's got a great in and out for that's, and I did talk to those owners today and they are not opposed to it. So that's a good thing. And that's a very easy bus line. It's easy for people to get to. So that would be another great spot.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
thank you. And I want to make sure that Councilmember Sneaker can keep us updated.
Well, we appreciate it.
And be our spokesperson.
Sure. Great. I really appreciate it. And again, if any of you know of families right now, not related to COVID, but who are suffering in some way and we can help, just let us know at Young and Healthy and we'll see what we can do to help them because we have access to lots of resources and, or if you know people who have lost their jobs and lost their insurance, we have full-time staff who is helping people get on Medi-Cal or any of the Affordable Care Act programs. So I'll put our phone number in there too. So please let us know if there's anything we can do to help anyone. That's what we're here for.
There is, I believe, going to be coming up later during a census tract report of a possible event happening in, I believe it's Councilmember Jones' census tract end of this month, as far as supporting the food for people in need. So maybe I'm not sure if that can tie in with with anything you're doing, but I'm just saying you might want to listen also to that census tract report and see what that event is, and maybe there's something you can work with them as well.
Great idea. Okay, will do. Thank
Okay.
you all very much.
All right. Thank you, Mary.
Can I just make a quick suggestion?
Sure.
If you go to the schools, to the principal, that's a good place to start for families in need.
Yeah, we are very connected to the schools.
Yeah, Jackson School has a special program just for that.
Yep. We know that principal well. Yep, they're good. Yeah, you're right. But if you hear of anybody else, just let us know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And thank you for coming this evening. Okay, moving on to item 4.2 for Proposition 15, Schools and Communications. So I'd like to hear from Susan Schwartz.
Hi,
Welcome.
thank you. And Billy, I would like to share my screen if I could. So if you
Okay.
can.
There should be a down at the bottom of your screen in the middle, it should say share screen.
There it is.
Click on that and do that with the share screen.
Okay.
And if it's
All right, let's see if I can do this. I'm gonna try to.
and again, just be aware that we do have time limits as well, but I'm sure this is going to be well.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to, so first of all, good evening, town council members and Altadinans all. I'm Susan Schwartz. I'm a 21-year resident of Altadena. My children grew up here using our library and local parks and educated in our public schools. And I'm here tonight to, I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk with you about Proposition 15, the Schools and Communities First initiative, which will be on the California ballot this fall. So I have a lot of information to cover, but I'm going to try to get through my basic information within the 10 minutes and give you time if I'll try to answer any questions you might have. So I will try not to go too quickly, but I'll try to cover what I had planned to cover. So what is Proposition 15? Proposition 15 is an initiative that serves to close the commercial property tax loophole under Prop 13. So as you probably know, Proposition 13 was passed in 1978 with the main goal of protecting homeowners, especially those on fixed income, from being priced out of their homes by rising property values leading to rising property taxes. It caps property taxes at roughly 1% of the on-paper assessed value, the sticker price at the last time the property was sold, and it creates a sort of a necessity of a property being sold in order to trigger a reassessment or considerably upgraded in order to trigger a reassessment of the current market value. So taxes are sort of frozen over time. What a lot of people may not be aware of is that while the focus when Prop 13 was passed in 1978 was on residential properties, it also provided the same protections and limits on commercial properties. So why is this a problem? Well, prior to the passage of Prop 13 in 1978, tax revenues came to the state about equal parts from residential and commercial properties. Currently, corporations contribute only about 29% of the state's property tax revenue, while homeowners shoulder the other 71%. And this is partly because corporations, especially the largest ones, are able to kind of, through complex ownership structures, they're able to disguise changes in ownership and go decades without being reassessed. This leads to a larger and larger gap between the actual fair market value based what they would be contributing and what they're actually paying in the way of property taxes. It also contributes to an uneven playing field for businesses in which you can have two equally valuable properties being paying very different property taxes. So for example, right next door to us in Burbank, Disney Studios pays $5 per square foot in property taxes, while Burbank Studios, which is a half a mile away on the same street, pays $180 per square foot in property taxes. So very, very uneven playing fields going on here for businesses. But even more critically, the passage of Prop 13 has resulted in a revenue loss directly to local government and public education, both of which are highly dependent on property taxes. So since the passage of Prop 13, the per capita revenue to local governments in the state of California has declined $150 per capita from before 1978 to currently. And our schools, which were once the envy of the nation, rank near the bottom in spending per pupil and staffing ratios for teachers, guidance counselors, librarians, and administrators. So whereas in 1977, we were 7th in the nation in per pupil spending, by a couple of years later, we dropped to 18th. by the 1980s, we had fallen below the national average, and we've never really recovered. It got worse during the Great Recession, and even after the revenue boost provided by Prop 30 and Prop 55 in 2012 and 2016, we still fund public education at an estimate about 39th out of 50 states, about on the same level as Texas, even though the cost of operating a school in California is more similar to what you would see in New York. And New York, by the way, spends about twice as much as California does per pupil. So, so what's the solution? So Proposition 15 would reclaim approximately $12 billion with a B, each year by creating a split roll property tax system. And what that means is you have two categories of properties that are taxed. Roll number one would be commercial and industrial properties valued at above $3 million. Roll number two, everything else. So smaller commercial and industrial properties valued at less than $3 million, all residential, all agricultural, all open space, everything else. So the other main thing that Proposition 15 would do is it would require that the largest commercial and industrial properties be reassessed about every 3 years. And then a change in ownership would no longer be required to trigger a reassessment. So right now you have properties that are able to sort of, through their property structures, disguise a change in ownership. There's some kind of a holding company or a certain amount is owned by the same person. And so they're able to essentially sell their property, but not have it trigger a reassessment. What would it not do? It would not change the tax rate. So California's property tax rates are around 1%. Which is, and they still will be after Prop 15 passes. We'll still have some of the lowest property tax rates in the country. So basically it's just saying every few years, we're going to see what large commercial properties actually are worth and have them pay taxes as any other property, commercial property worth the same amount. So what would that do for, in terms of reclaiming this $12 billion? 40% of it would go to the schools, and the other 60% would go to counties and cities and local entities. So for LA County, we're talking about an additional $3.75 billion every year. For our local school district and our local community college district, we're looking at an additional about $10.9 million each per year for PUSD and for Pasadena College District. And what's notable about this is that 92% of this $12 billion, 92% of these additional revenues would actually only come from about 10% of the state's wealthiest commercial property owners. Most people would not really be that much affected, if they're affected at all. So in particular, and I have to stress this, Prop 15 protects all residential and agricultural property taxes. It's not going to affect your home. And we hear a lot of times that it's always just, this is just sort of the slippery slope, and this is just opening up a path towards getting rid of your property tax protections for your home. And that's just not what it is. That is not the language. So how is residential property defined? It's basically, if it is being used for residential, if somebody lives there, that is exempt from Prop 15's changes. Doesn't matter about zoning, doesn't matter if it's a rental property versus a home, homeowner. It is exempt, period. For mixed use properties, if more than 75% of the square footage is residential, the whole property is exempt. If less than 75% is used for residential, then only the commercial part is potentially up for reassessment, and only if the value of that commercial portion is worth more than $3 million. That's that part. So in addition, Prop 15 provides businesses with a tax cut for fixtures and equipment. So for small business in particular, things like restaurants, grocery stores, basically most if not all of the small businesses in Altadena. Businesses currently under the current law have to pay property taxes on things such as equipment, supplies, machinery, desks and chairs, refrigerators and other restaurant equipment, computers and servers. And under Prop 15, the first $500,000 in fixtures and equipment would be exempt for all businesses. So that is a benefit. Let's see, going along. Else besides the Bobcat fire, I know that's kind of been in the back of everybody's minds, no matter what else you're doing during the day around here these days. I feel like, reading this morning in the LA Times that the fire was described as, although nearly 900 personnel have been assigned, officials say it isn't enough. And the Angeles National Forest spokesperson was quoted as saying the amount of personnel we have is very low for the size of this fire, and we're spread thin throughout the state. And firefighters and other first responders are just among the many types of public services provided largely through counties and local governments that have been really stretched by all the challenges that we've been dealing with in this crazy 2020 year. Public health is obviously an area where this year's events have demonstrated how vulnerable we are, how interdependent we are, how those who are hardest hit are among the most vulnerable. Our communications infrastructure has been strained by the demands made by people working and doing school from home. And our public schools have stepped into the breach, working with community agencies like Young and Healthy and other organizations to make sure that students have internet access and even regular meals. So I think, what we have here is a structural crisis that has been really made more apparent by the crises we're in the middle of this particular year. And it requires a structural solution. So California is the 5th largest economy in the world. We have 26% of all the billionaires in the US. We have CEOs who make more than 360 times than their workers do. So we have these incredible wealth, extreme inequalities, high rates of poverty, low per pupil spending behind states like Texas and Oklahoma.
Just letting you know, that 10 minutes is up, so if you want to round up,
okay.
a couple of questions.
Basically that was my presentation. There's local control of the revenue. It ensures there are provisions for strict accountability of how it's spent, number of organizations that endorse it. And I will be happy to take any questions, or I'll be able to answer them, but I'll try.
Any questions from the council? Okay, Councilmember Becerra.
Hi, I was looking at the breakdown of the 40 and the 60. So of the revenue that's generated, 40% is expected to go strictly for schools. Is that correct?
Right. It's basically the same breakdown of the way property taxes are distributed now. So about 40% goes to the local control funding formula that funds our schools, and the other 60% goes to counties and cities, local and library districts and things like that. So it's very much the same breakdown as it would be now, and the control over how those funds are spent would be at the same levels of jurisdictions, so local jurisdictions, local school districts, community college districts, counties, cities, etc.
So when you mean by local in the cities, it's by the districts, and they control that portion of the monies for the 60%, correct?
So 40% goes out to the school districts and is spent by by the school districts according to their education plans. And then the 60% is distributed to the counties and cities and other special districts. And to be spent in the way that whatever way they decide.
Okay, because I'm under the impression that this prop was specifically meant for education only. And
no.
So I'm kind of just a little confused as to, why is it less than 50? Why isn't it more if it's supposed to be for education? Why isn't it?
That's why it's the schools and communities first. So it is schools and communities. And as I said, I think a lot of schools have been really emphasizing it because schools, that's maybe where you're hearing more about it, but it is very much about local public services other than education as well.
Got it.
Thank you very much. I think everybody should be aware, as we should in all propositions. Make sure you do your homework. Make sure you understand everything. And I saw a link to a couple of Facebook pages and stuff like that that was shown during the presentation, where you can find more information about this. We do have to move on shortly because we have to consider everybody, and we do still have a full agenda. But I did see some other hand up. Was it Councilmember Cheetah?
Hi. So interestingly, I was curious, between Altadena and Pasadena, and especially along Lake and Lincoln, for example, at any given point in time, you'll probably run into the majority of about 74 different churches. And I was curious, does this measure include something like churches, considering there's so many of those in the community?
That's a really good question. I do not know what the status of religious institution properties are right now. They're not corporations, so I think they would not. It would probably not affect them any more than it would affect any other non-corporate properties. But I don't know. I'll have to look that up. That's a good question.
I would think that would be a great resource, considering there's such an exorbitant amount per capita. I think Pasadena actually has the largest number of churches in relation to its population.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I am going to move on because we do still have a full agenda, but I will say that if it's okay with Susan, if any council member has any further questions or more information, we can share your contact information, Susan, so they can ask you questions.
Right, and I also put the site for getting more information about the measure into the chat as well, and I'll put my email address.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I very much appreciate you coming. And then moving on, we're going to go to Altadena Community Reports. Item 5.1, the Altadena Library. Nikki Winslow, Director.
All right. Good evening, Council. So good to see all of you again, and hope everyone is staying safe with the poor air quality we're all experiencing. So I obviously want to continue to promote our curbside service as we continue to expand it. Although this week we have suspended service, unfortunately, and are having staff work from home due to the poor air quality even in the buildings. So if you had an appointment this week, we've rescheduled everybody for next week and are hopeful that we'll be able to bring staff back and resume curbside starting September 21st. We have expanded curbside to include computer printouts and laptops as part of our Library of Things. So if you visit our website, which is altadenalibrary.org/curbside, it'll have all of these offerings. You can take a look at it and send in print jobs. You can go to the Bob Lucas branch and actually get copies made, as well as 3D printing, Wi-Fi hotspots, and laptops. What we're working on now is expanding the Library of Things. So what's coming soon is people will be able to check out a telescope through the Library of Things. And following that, we'll be also checking out sewing machines. So again, we're continuing to expand. If you have ideas for things that you'd like to see us add to the Library of Things to check out, please reach out and let us know. You know what else you can pick up through curbside are some take-home kits. This month, you can come pick up a zine kit, which is a mini self-published magazine that you can make at home with a kit from the library. If you call to set up a curbside appointment, just let them know you want to pick up a zine kit or two if you have more people in your household. And you can potentially bring it back and have it added to our newest collection, which is our zine collection at the library. I believe we're one of only like 5 zine collections in all of California and potentially like nationally. Starting in October, we're going to be really focused on civic engagement, especially a push to get the vote out. So at the Bob Lucas branch, we're going to have family learning kits regarding elections, which will be materials and activities for family with young children to explore the election process, including electing their favorite book character. At the main library, we're going to have civic engagement / activism kits, which are free books and resources about civic engagement, voting, and activism for adults. Again, so starting in October, you'll be able to set up appointments to pick those up as well. Before I move on, I also wanted to announce that our newly selected Assistant Director, Victor Soberg, will be starting with us this coming Monday, September 21st. Estella Terrasa has left us back in July, so Victor is taking her place. I'm hoping to bring him next month. And I also wanted to let you guys know that we rescheduled our regular board meeting. Typically, it's the fourth Monday of the month, which would have been September 28th. But when the meeting schedule was set up last year, we didn't realize it was on Yom Kippur. So it's going to be the day after, which will be Tuesday, September the 29th, still at 5 o'clock. Okay, let's see. Moving on to my next slide. So oh, sorry, my pages are a little out of order. So I am so excited for the virtual Taste of Dina coming up on September 26th. Library supporters can visit the Foundation's website at altadinalibraryfoundation.org to buy wine through the wine poll, which is such a deal. Each bottle is $20, and all bottles of wine that have been donated to us are valued between $20 and $80. So go on there and support the wine poll. You can also sign up to bid on silent auction items, which include a private movie night at the library, personal training sessions, a ride along with Captain Jacobs, pretty cool, and a dinner with my husband and I. Like, how can you beat that, honestly? And much, much more. There's really lots of really great items. Bidding opens on September 19th and will end when we do the virtual screening on September 26th at 7 p.m. This fundraising effort this year is focused to support our mobile library services effort, which is basically what I'm calling the third library on wheels. We want to buy a van and convert it to have collections, Wi-Fi, all kinds of things to get out in the community and be able to reach the parts of Altadena that maybe we're not being able to, both with COVID as well as in general. So I encourage all of you to go to the Foundation's website and sign up to bid, and also view the screening next on the 26th at 7 p.m. All right, so now on to fall programming, all being offered virtually. Do you love to read and then talk about the book, or not read it and talk about it anyway? If so, then you'd love the No Guilt Book Club, where there's no guilt if you didn't read the book. You can just show up to talk about it. It was actually held this past Saturday at 4 o'clock. And again, it's every second Saturday of the month. We also have a True Crime All the Time book club every fourth Saturday of the month at 4 o'clock. So if you love true crime, they always select a really good book for that. We are so excited to partner with local scientists to offer this series of science programming. It's STEM for Children. It's starting, this is the first program this coming Saturday, September 19th at 11 a.m. This program is Science with the Scientists, Earth versus Other Planets. So we're working with NASA and JPL and Caltech, as well as many other people in the community for kids. So please sign your kids up, 9+. It's going to be a really great series of programs, and we'll run through November. All right, homework helpers. I don't know about you, but I'm out of order again, sorry. Do you have students that need some homework help? I know I have my son who's virtually learning at home. So we do have staff and local teen volunteers available on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock for kids that need help with homework. I also did want to plug that in addition to this live homework help, we have a website or a database called BrainFuse that has online tutors available every day, 1 to 10 p.m., ranging from kindergarten through 12th grade. I know I don't want to learn geometry again, so it's definitely where I'm going to send my son this school year. So these are like expert tutors that can tutor all the way through calculus. You can find that on our website at altadinalibrary.org/databases. So again, it's called BrainFuse. It's an excellent resource for the parents that need some support. So speaking of teens like my son, our teen librarian continues to offer some fun programs for teens. First, we offer once a month the Nom Nom Club, where teens can sign up to come pick up a box of ingredients and then access a video cooking class, which is super fun. She also does a Craftivism, which is activism themed crafts every other Friday on Instagram. So you just need to subscribe to the Altadena Teens page and check that out. Okay, this week we're also offering a parenting workshop this Thursday at 5:30 to learn successful ways to navigate online learning. This is in coordination with Growing Together Pasadena, which is a partnership between us, Pasadena, and Sierra Madre Libraries. So I'd highly encourage parents to check that out. All right, so just to emphasize all of the fall programming right now is offered online. And if you visit our altadena-library.org/programs, you can sign up for all of these programs. Because of security, we want to make sure that we're only letting people into the programs, as you guys are well aware, with Zoom protocols. So if you're interested, please visit our website. As Billy mentioned earlier, the Altadena Library District is taking Measure Z forward on the November 3rd ballot. This proposed ballot measure is locally funded measure, basically so that we can get the capital funds that we need, as well as replace Measure A when it expires in 24-25. A yes vote approves funding for the district's programs and services and repairs for both buildings, both of which were built over 50 years ago, as you all know. A no vote rejects the proposed funding. I would highly encourage anyone that has questions to visit our website at altadena-library.org/Measure Z, or please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to provide whatever information I can. My email is nwinslow@altadena-library.org. I know, every month I bring this up, but that just demonstrates its importance. 2020 census, Altadena households are currently at 74.3% response rate. And I'm sure you're all aware the deadline was moved up a month to the end of September. So we urge anyone that hasn't responded to do so ASAP. It's a lot of local funding that we will lose if people don't. So again, please push the census, because we definitely want that other 25% if we can get it. Okay, and I think that takes me to the end. So in conclusion, as usual, a quote from Adrienne Marie Brown, who's the author of Emergent Strategy, one of the books library staff is reading and using to shape our work towards equity and inclusion, available in the collection for checkout. I would call our work to change the world science fictional behavior, being concerned with the way our actions and beliefs now, today, will shape the future tomorrow and the next generation. So again, thank you so much for the time to update all of you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
I do have one question.
Sure.
I noticed when I walk through the community, there are book boxes. Is the library providing those book boxes? There's one right on Terrace that's across the street from me, and then I see one over on Glen Rose and Ventura, and I've seen them just throughout. Is that something that the library is providing?
Some of they're called free little libraries, and some of them are boxes that we fill, and many of them, which is wonderful to see, are filled by people in the community. I know one of our goals that we set in our operational plan this year was to expand those, but unfortunately with the way things are going in terms of like social distancing, we haven't done that. But I know we'll incorporate that into next year's plan as well. So, I mean, it just depends on the box, but I think it's really awesome that you see them all over the community, and a lot of them are done by private citizens.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nikki. I really appreciate you coming.
Of course, thank you.
I'm going to move on. We still have some more presentations, and we're running low on time, so I always appreciate your presentation. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that the library was able to partner, the town council was able to partner with you regarding Measure Z, and that we were invited to a discussion meeting beforehand. So thank you. Okay, moving on. Item 5.2, LA County Parks and Rec with Sam Estrada.
Hey, good evening. I will make it quick, as I know there's other presentations during this evening. So just for the month of August, we ran our Pad in Motion. Those that are familiar with it, it was a Parks After Dark in Motion, Thursdays from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it was a way to safely allow for people from Altadena to ride their bikes, scooters, walk throughout the park. Unfortunately, there were a few times where we did have to cancel the program due to excessive heat. And then most recently, we had to cancel it due to the fires and the poor air quality. But we are planning to continue the program. So look forward to hopefully have it back up on the 24th of September, barring any kind of poor air quality. So I will keep the word out on that. We did make some corrections with it. I know that there were some issues that we were having with the setup of the street signs. So that has been corrected with the help of Public Works to help the flow of traffic. I know that there was issues going up and down Lincoln and Altadena Drive, so those were corrected of our last pad in motion. So hopefully when we have our next one, that'll continue. Next, we have our contract class program. That's something that Dorothy had mentioned earlier. I sent her over the flyers, and so if you visit parks.lacounty.gov/fall20 and register for the classes that we're having at Loma Alta and then virtually as well. So we're offering in-person tennis with Veronica Badan, and we have dance class with Adrian Braden. She's doing ballet, jazz, and salsa cardio, and the program is virtually done, so you can do it in the comfort and the safety of your home. And then we have our drum program that is being run with former deputy of Altadena, Sam Estrada. He'll be doing a drum class with youth at Loma Alta. Unfortunately, they were supposed to start today, but due to the poor air quality, we had to push that back, and we're going to extend it and start next week just because the fires and the poor air quality. So hopefully next week it clears up. We're crossing our fingers if it does. That way we can start. We did get kind of a bright cleared out a little bit in the evening, so hopefully that continues, but if not, we'll be switching up the dates on when it begins. We did mention, I had mentioned about the distance learning last meeting. The distance learning program that we had planned to start this month. As of right now, it has been pushed back to October 5th. So right now we're just awaiting for the department approval and getting approval for running the program and clearance on the way the program will be conducted by our department and allow for the safety and the amount of kids that we do anticipate enrolling. So that's something that we're taking into consideration, as we know a lot of parents are looking for that additional help for homework and just to get recreational activities for their kids. So tentatively it's to start October 5th. So right now it's up in the air as far as like when officially it'll begin, but hopefully by the next meeting it's already started. So I will keep you guys updated on that. As far as our amenities, everything as far as the facility is still closed. However, we still are allowing people to utilize our tennis courts, the pickleball, and we also are allowing people to use the multi-purpose fields. However, for no team use, however, individuals can come out and with families and utilize the fields in a safe and a way. Picnics are still allowed, however, a minimum number of group attendance, and also no large gatherings are still allowed at the parks. And then lastly, Farnsworth Park is undergoing a extensive but long overdue reconstruction project. So that did start today. So they'll be working on the Davies building. They'll be upgrading the electrical at the entire park. They'll also be enhancing the picnic area by the playground, adding new ADA walkways from the Mount Curve parking lot down to the amphitheater, as well as upgrading some of the walkways and pathways around the park, and installing new batting cage at the baseball field on the Lakeside Street baseball field. And we'll also be updating some of the ADA walkways in front of Mount Curve. In front of the Davies building on Mount Curve. So pretty much wraps up my report for the month of August and part of September. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask away.
Okay, I'm going to put you on to Councilmember Knapp, but I also am going to be moving on because after this, because again, we still have a lot of things to get to, and I want to make sure everybody gets a turn to present their report. So Councilmember Knapp.
Just a quick question, Sam. How long do you expect the upgrades to go on at Farnsworth Park?
The timetable is set to end at the end of, or I'm sorry, at the beginning of February. So hopefully that first to second week of February, they should all be done.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. I really appreciate that. I'm going to be moving on to the 5.3 Altadena Chamber of Commerce. Doug Khalifa.
Good evening, everybody. Just a couple of brief things. I am pleased to announce that nominations for Altadena's 2020 Citizen of the Year and Business of the Year are now open. The nomination form should be up on the website in the next day or two and available out on social media in the same window. In the interim, if anybody would like a nomination form, you can reach out to myself or Veronica directly, and we'll get them to you. There are many individuals and many businesses in our community that are worthy, so please give it some thought and don't just assume your neighbor's going to nominate somebody worthy. Go ahead and get the nomination in. Secondly, this is also the time of year where we invite interested parties in the community to consider joining our Chamber Board of Directors. It's a 2-year term that starts in January. Again, you're welcome to reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk to you in more detail about what it entails. There's a pretty simple, I don't want to use the term application, but let's call it a letter of interest, if you will, that we ask you to complete, and just states, who you are and why you'd like to be on the board and what you feel like you could contribute and so on and so forth. So again, that will be up on the website here in the next day or two as well. But in the interim, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or anybody you think might be interested or worthy. And then lastly, the Chamber Board also is very, very pleased to vote and support and endorse Measure Z on behalf of the library. And so we're thrilled to be able to do that and support that as the Chamber. So that is all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything. Otherwise, I will pass the gavel back to Billy.
All right, I don't see any hands up, so I'm going to move on for consideration of time. And I'm going to pass it now to Neighbors Building Me a Better Altadena under Community Reports. Back to Karen Gibson, item 5.4.
Thanks again. Neighbors Building a Better Altadena, like ATC and many organizations around our country, have taken a stand against systematic racism. And we have decided to elevate the conversation that needs to happen around this stain on our history and our present. And we are supporting that conversation and hosting opportunities for that conversation and for the action that has to follow. As we were talking about this, our newest leader, Eva Child, had the idea that we should explore this through films and follow-up discussion. And that just seemed like such a great idea because films are so accessible and so evocative, I should say. And so she helped choose the films that we're using. And in August, we kicked off our first one. And the idea is to see the film however one can, either at home or we sponsored a pop-up drive-in at Grocery Outlet for those who weren't able to see the film at home. And so that was a lot of fun. And we have to give a shout out right here to Dot Wong, who was so incredibly helpful with her sound gear and made that possible. And technically it worked out very well. And the people who were there, though very few, were enthusiastic about it. We hope to have a better turnout this time. But the point is that we had that on a Friday night. On this following Sunday, we had a really meaningful, engaging conversation about the film White Like Me, which basically confronts the issue of white privilege. And Brian Beery facilitated that discussion, and it was really a worthwhile endeavor. And I think everybody went away from there feeling that they had
spent their time well. So we're going to follow up here in September with our next film and discussion on the documentary 13th by Ava DuVernay, and it refers to the 13th Amendment, that title. It shows how slavery was eventually transformed into a money-making sort of prison industrial complex, and all the facets of our society that feed into that. And so our pop-up drive-in, if you can't see that at home on Netflix, we have a pop-up drive-in coming up at Grocery Outlet on Friday, the 25th. Now, that may or may not go forward because of the smoggy conditions, but if some miracle occurs and the smoke lifts, then we'll do it on Friday, the 25th. But in any case, the conversation will go forward on Sunday, the 27th, and we'll do a little précis of the movie ahead of time so that we can go forward. Pastor Kerwin Manning from Pasadena Church is going to facilitate that conversation, and that's going to also be very worthwhile. That's going to be Sunday, the 27th from 3 until 4:30. I think, yeah, 3 to 4:30. And if you email us, we'll send you the link for the Zoom meeting. And we just ask for that because we have to know how to plan what size group we're going to have and whether we'll have breakouts or not. So it's not to keep anybody out. Heaven knows everyone is more than welcome. But if you'll email us at nbba.alta@earthlink.net and just say, I want in, and give us, we'll shoot you back the link. In October, though, we're going to have to break from that film and conversation series for the election. And we'll proceed again after the election with more films, a book, and then follow that with panels on crucial topics right into 2021. We'll just go as long as it takes. After all, I think we've all been saying that it's a marathon, not a moment, not even a movement. It's a marathon. So as for the election, NBBA is hosting a League of Women Voters presentation of the pros and cons on the ballot initiatives, of which there are oh so many this time. That will be October 4th on Sunday, 3 to 4:30. I think each one of them will probably get about 4.5 minutes. And then we will have a town council candidate forum on October 8th, Thursday evening, 7 to 8:30. I will send the flyers to you for these two events, and I see Dot shaking her head, so I'm thinking she's going to put them up on your website for us. Thank you. Please put them out to your personal networks as well. We want to reach as wide an audience as we can for all of these events. I'm sorry to say this, but we are going to be promoting the candidate forums for PUSD elections. There are so many of them happening in September, which is really when people should be seeing them. So we're going to really promote those. The ones coming up soonest are tomorrow, and then next Tuesday and Wednesday. So I know that those are going to get pushed out by the various hosts, but we want to support those as well. In terms of the library, we support Measure Z, and well, stay tuned for news on that, but we're not going to be having a candidate forum on that since there's not a contested election there, but hopefully we can have a conversation about it. And we also are going to be encouraging people to volunteer for the library the campaign for Measure Z. So that's all I have to report, and I'll put the flyers in the email to you so you have those. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Karen, and just be aware that looking in for October the 3rd, you said? 7th, October the 3rd, was it?
October 4th, Sunday, October 4th.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. And again, we only have a few minutes left of the meeting, but we still have things to get through. So I am going to move on, and any of the updated information, if Karen can get it to Councilmember Wong, and we can put it on the website. And any other questions you have, we can pass along to Karen. So thank you so much for coming and give us an update. But we do have an election report and other things to do still. So we do really have to move. Committee reports, item 6.1, Land Use Committee. Councilmember Markinson.
Yes, we did not have a meeting this month because the one project that we were expecting to review and vote on is not through its work with Public Works. I'm sorry, regional planning. And so when we were working with regional planning, they finally explained to us that they really didn't have everything they needed. And until we really understand, it's a complicated project. And until we understand all the nuances to it, it really didn't make sense for us to review it. I'm hoping on having them have the information to us for the November meeting. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, October meeting. So I don't have anything else to report but that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councilmember Markinson. I really appreciate that. I'm going to move on to the next item. And again, I'm going to try and refer questions right now. If council members have questions, to refer it to the presentations afterwards, if we can, because right now we keep moving. So item 6.2, the election committee, Councilmember Jones.
Good evening again. The election committee report is as follows. The election of new 2020 Altadena Town Council representatives is now scheduled to take place in November. Early voting will be November 3rd, and the regular election will be held on November 7th. All candidate applications are due on October 6th. The election committee met on September 13th. The following individuals are serving on the election committee: Antonio Becerra, Bridget Brewster, Karen Gibson, Gloria Sanika, Victoria Knapp, and Nick Santangelo. As of now, we have confirmed 2 polling places: the Altadena Main Library, branch on Mariposa, the Bob Lucas Library on Lincoln Avenue. Additional polling places will be added as necessary. The COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic changed the way the 2020 election will be held, but we will not allow the crisis to silence our community. The town council wants you to participate in the political process while staying safe and healthy. The election process will be following the governor's recommendations for open meetings, and the Los Angeles County's guidance on public gatherings and meetings. We will be using the following procedures. Voting booths will be set up outside each polling place. Signage and staff will enforce 6-foot distancing between individuals voting and in line to vote. All individuals are required to wear masks the entire time they are on site. Alcohol-based hand sanitizer and wipes will be available to voters. Each pen or pencil will be only used once. Polling equipment will be wiped down after each use with antibacterial wipes. Curbside voting can be made available for those that need it. We will continue to provide updates through our website and virtual council meetings. I would like to leave you with a little something to think about this election season. Is your voice, and every single vote matters. Excuse me, I said it wrong. I'm sorry, it's getting late. Your voice is your vote, and every single vote matters. Thank you. That concludes the report.
Excuse me, Veronica, are applications available?
Applications were available as of Monday.
Thank you.
So anyone can go to our website, get an application, and apply to be a council member.
Yes.
So
we've had 3 people get applications already.
Excellent, excellent. I hope we continue with a lot of enthusiasm from our community. So Thank you very much for that report, Councilmember Jones. I'm going to be moving on to Safe Streets, item 6.3, Councilmember Wong.
Sure. So obviously, due to the fires, we haven't been doing a lot, but I did want to give an exciting update. What let's see. Sorry. Oh, so the Complete Streets Committee had worked with Cal Berkeley Safe Trek and the county and various partners with the Complete Streets Safety Assessment. And so they are working diligently now, and we're on an assessment benchmarking phase of the study. So this will be a complete street study of different streets in Altadena, how we move around by different modes, and how we can improve that in our community. So we're at the benchmarking phase. If anybody wants to learn more, you can reach out to me, Dorothy Wong at AltadenaTownCouncil.org. And the county has also approved the Slow Streets, which I've gone over. And the purpose of the Slow Street program is basically to basically the local emergency response to COVID-19. And from that, the Slow Streets program will promote and provide traffic calming on streets that residents in Altadena can apply for, and residents have been randomly applying so far, as well strategically through the Safe Streets Committee. So if you want to get a slow street network in your neighborhood, they must be residential streets and ideally part of a street network to include between 10 to 25 intersections. And you can find out more at PW, that's Public Works, so pw.lacounty.gov/vision0. So that's it. And then as Sam has explained, we've been also getting involved in parks or pad in motion. So bring your bikes and scooters out when the air clears through the next month or so, September 24th through October. And last but not least, anybody who's concerned about transit and the future of transit, the next gen bus, definitely keep your eyes and ears open. There's been a lot of budget conversations about whether the next gen bus program should move forward. And again, there was planned to be significant changes to transit in Altadena. So stay on top of that next gen bus. And I believe last I heard, they are trying to move the program forward, but there's been a lot going on. So let's stay on top of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the update, Councilmember Wong. Okay, I'm going to move on to Education Committee with Councilmember Lee, item 6.4.
Hello, thank you. And I just wanted to say that PUSD is obviously feeling the effects of the fire. As Susan Schwartz said in her presentation, we're all interdependent. So we have a LEARNS supervised care program after school, and that is being canceled through Friday. So for the parents that really depend on LEARNS and for the social things that children can get from being face-to-face somewhat these days, they can't do it because of the air quality. And the grab and go food centers, which is so amazing that PUSD is doing this. Some of those have been curtailed because of the wildfires, but they are still open 5 days a week. And I just thought that a lot of people on the council, may not know that all this is happening. So I just thought I would take the opportunity to fill everybody in. And I'm going to keep it really short. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Councilmember Lee. Okay, I'm going to move on now. I'm going to pass this over to Councilmember Sutherland for general public comments. I believe you mentioned at the beginning there are none right now, but I'm passing it over to you right now.
Okay. And there are no general public comments, so we can go on to census tract reports.
Okay. Item number 8, first one, 8.1, census tract report for 4603.02.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that on September the 3rd, Southern California Edison hosted, I guess you could say, a planned power outage in my neighborhood. And they did send us a little coupon where we can buy some ice or what have you. And I called Billy because I thought that there was moratorium on that. But they were there all day from 7 a.m. until 4. My only concern was that they were working and they didn't have masks on. Okay. And I did call Edison. I spoke with their supervisor and I let them know that. And so I didn't see them per se put on their masks, but they got back inside of their vehicles and they were doing most of their whatever they had to do, pull in their cords and what have you in their vehicles. And that was on September 3rd. And then on a lighter note, we had an enterprising young student. Her name was Amora, and she had a grand opening of her lemonade stand. And this sounds like she was featuring like 3 flavors of lemonade: regular, lemon mint, strawberry. Everyone was required to wear a mask, and she had a hand washing station available and hand sanitizer. And it was packed. People were out there. There had to at least be 100 people out there, you know, all following instructions and everything. And I think she had such great support because people were, you know, they wanted to get out of the house. So this was on Terrace between Calanda and Olive, where all this took place. There were also people driving through and what have you. So I just want to let everybody know that even though we're in this pandemic, there are enterprising youth out there that are doing things. And this, Amora's 6 years old, and she was raising money for her swim lessons and music lessons. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Sneaker. Okay, moving on. Item number 8.2, Census Tract Report for 4610. Councilmember Jones.
Okay, really fast. October 25th, I have joined with the library, the Historical Society, and Eugene Higgins to do a 40th anniversary for Charles White. And we're going to do it virtually, and we're planning it right now. So there's more to come about that. It's October 25th. So, and then the next thing is I'm on a team with Jackson School to change the name. They're looking maybe to change it to Mary Jackson. That's what we're hoping for, who was the first NASA Black female engineer in 1958. So that should be happening at Jackson. It's going to take a little while, but we're moving past that. And the other thing that Billy alluded to about Charles White Park on September 24th, there's a food giveaway by My Tribe Rise. They're supposed to be able to feed 1,000 people, and they're asking for help, volunteers, and they're asking for people to get the word out that they have food for 1,000 people there on the September 25th from noon to 5:30.
You keep mentioning September 25th. It's October the 24th.
I have on my thing, is it October 24th?
Yeah. Isn't it? Oh, no, is it September the 24th? Sorry, I was thinking of the October Charles White thing. You were correct. It is September the 24th.
Okay, that's what I have. That's what was
You are
sent.
correct.
But if
I was
it's
confusing it with the Charles White celebration on the 25th of October. So my apologies. You are correct. It's September the 24th.
okay, no worries. Okay. That's it. Good night, everybody.
Right.
Good night.
Thank you. Okay, so we have one more thing on the agenda. Item number 9, adjournment.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Okay.
Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you ever so much for coming, everybody. And anyway.
Be safe. Be safe.
Be safe
Everybody,
out there.
be
And keep
safe.
your heads
Good
on the
night
news.
and be
Bye for now.
safe.
Thank you, Pasadena Media.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you.